You want to hear a joke?
What's the joke?
The stupid joke I heard today. It's a frog walks into a bank. All right, and he walks up to this loan officer. The loan officer is this Irish guy named Mac. His name is Patrick Mac, but everyone just calls him Patty. You know. The frog comes up to him, and Patty goes, "Oh, what have we here? A frog walking in the bank." And the frog says to him, "I'd like to apply for a loan, please." And Patty goes, "Oh, it's a talking frog, and he wants a loan. Do you have anything at all for his collateral?" And so the frog pulls out this wood-carved, gold-dipped, jewel-encrusted frog, right, and hands it to Patty. Patty looks at it and is like, "Oh, I'll have to see what we can do about this. I have to talk to me boss." So Patty goes in the back and talks to his boss. Says, "Check this out here, sir. A frog came in and he wants a loan, and he offered this as collateral. I don't even know what this is." The boss looks up from his paperwork real quick and says, "It's a knick-knack, Patty Mac. Give the frog a loan." It's a dumb joke. There's
a lot of build-up for that one line.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's a Norm Macdonald joke. You ready to get started?
Yeah. Are you not already started?
Well, I started recording.
So everybody just heard you say that?
Yep. I saved it for the fans.
Everybody just heard you rip off Norm Macdonald.
I ripped off Norm Macdonald. You were absolutely correct.
For a split second.
I had to. So welcome to the second, Volume 2, Scott versus Scott.
Volume 2.
Watch your framing.
Versus Scott. I'm trying to watch my framing. All right.
Yeah.
Look, here we go.
So EK's not here. So if the video quality is a little less superior, that's why. It's up to me to do it all. So, yeah, this is Scott versus Scott, where we talk about things that are going on and try to disagree on them. So what are we talking about today? How you doing, first of all?
I'm doing good, Scott. How about you, buddy? I had a good weekend productive with my shows and my friends and my family over there at the rec center. Actually, it's the best place to be in all of Fredericksburg. I meant to take my Enjoy the Trip shirt off. So
all right, Mr. Rogers.
Display my...
You gonna change your shoes too?
Down to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. The rec center where you get the Beazel burger and a shot of Jameson.
Nice.
So yeah, we did that. And Sunday, we had a monster truck rally here at the house. No, I spent some time cleaning out the shed this weekend and just like taking care of some stuff around the house, doing some chores, getting ready for Christmas. Yesterday was the first day of Christmas, so trying to get in the holly jolly spirit and not holly jolly hang myself.
Right. I hate Christmas time.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan myself. And then had some circumstances that I won't get into recently that happened in my life that made me just a little bit more down on Christmas. But I'm trying to cheer up for the children's sake. Comedian Scott Wharton is for the children.
Now you got to laugh to keep from crying.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. You know, it was sometimes during this quarantine, or if you like, for example, like I really didn't have anything to do from like Friday and Saturday, and like 48 hours just staying inside kind of gets me a little batty. I never used to be like that. I used to be able to like stay in for weeks and never go outside. But now it's like I need to get out. I'd make excuses to leave the house, you know?
Right.
So, I bet a lot of people are facing that kind of situation in the month of December because, seasonal affective disorder is a real thing.
Yep.
And as a person who suffers from depression himself, I suffer from depression, take medication for it. I think I'm doing pretty well this December because usually I get a lot more sad. And I know, especially under these like COVID conditions, depression's going up. And I think that I'm doing pretty good. So I want to thank Pfizer not only for the vaccine, but the medication they give me for free. Thank you.
Thank you, Pfizer, for medicating my co-host.
And, creating a vaccine that may save a lot of lives.
Yes, Pfizer.
Yes,
and for boner pills.
Yeah. But I was conceived the normal way.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just advocating for boner pills, so we can argue about that.
Are we getting a check?
What? No, I'm hoping to. If Pfizer wants to sponsor our podcast and send me a check for promoting boner pills, then I'll gladly be the spokesperson for.
Yeah, I'll be the spokesperson for Prestige. I hate to name drop and stuff like that, but that's what I take. and it's done wonders for me. And I've been on a bunch of antidepressants that weren't good. I've been on Zoloft, I've been on Wellbutrin, and none of those were good for me. So, and Pristique's a fairly new drug, So,
Well, let's get that sponsorship. I'll type up the proposal today after the.
We'll email Pfizer later.
Yeah, we'll email Pfizer. No big deal. No, that'll be fine.
So usually what we do is we have like 3 different categories over an hour-long show. And I guess we'll go like maybe about 20 minutes on each. And so first we're going to start off with something pretty controversial. And that's, since it's getting to be football season and stuff like that, that's kneeling for the national anthem.
You're not going to say our poem before this?
You are right. That's on me. Yeah, I wrote the poem. I'm the only one who memorized it. So next time, I swear to you, we'll do this right. Right as we open, we'll do the poem. Right or left, right or wrong, our opinions make a song. For in the end, we are friends, and your opinion, I'll defend.
Thank you for defending my opinion.
Absolutely.
Defend yours too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
I drank too much last week. I'm going to be honest. I shouldn't have done that.
The last time I ran the Born in Quarantine guys, I hurt myself that evening.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
Well, because there was a couple different liquors I was mooching off of, and some beers I was mooching off of. I pretty much drank all of somebody's beer, and so and so I woke up hurting. That's why I really don't like liquor. I prefer beer.
Yeah. I prefer liquor because beer makes me sleepy, but you got to be careful with it.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with your liquor consumption. Otherwise, you'll be out there in the backyard, trying to fight shadow people.
Well, I've been there, done that. The thing about it is like I had this. Sometimes you learn about mixing certain types of alcohol. Like it's okay to mix other, like some types. It's like whiskey and a beer is okay. If you have like a shot of whiskey and some beer, you're fine. But there was one night where I was drinking tequila shots with Budweiser, not Bud Light, Budweiser, and that was just one of the worst hangovers I ever had. That like knocked me out for 2 days when I was in my 20s. All right. Like early 20s when I was in the Navy,
Yeah, last podcast I was drinking some sort of Devil's Backbone Vienna Lager or something of that nature and Sky vodka. And I'm not really a drinker. I'm more of a smoker.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of had me out of my element.
Not so much Janis Joplin, more Jimi Hendrix, right?
Right, yeah, sure.
I'm more like Janis.
More like Willie Nelson, less like Jim Morrison.
Good. All right. You're pretty good with your metaphors today.
Thank you.
You're on point with your metaphors.
We can get more into musicians later when we get
Absolutely.
our second topic.
Absolutely.
Do you want to lead the way on kneeling, Scott? You're the one
I would rather you lead the way when it comes to kneeling for the national anthem. People who have been doing this, particularly like Colin Kaepernick. You want to take the lead, or shall I?
I mean, this is a topic that you approached me with.
Okay.
So I'll let you take the lead.
So here's the thing when it comes to kneeling for the national anthem. I don't think that anyone should be forced to do it at the point of a gun. I don't think and using a government to like tell people is like you can't burn the American flag. You can't kneel during the national anthem.
You're saying people shouldn't be forced not to kneel? Shouldn't be forced to stand?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. However, I think that they should be ridiculed mercilessly. I think that the private organization that employs that person should probably fire them like immediately for disrespecting our nation. And I think they should have a hard time getting a job in the same field afterwards, especially if they continue with that kind of behavior. Now, when it comes to the act of kneeling, as a Christian myself, I don't kneel to anybody but my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, or his dad, or some Holy Spirit, or something like that. That's what I kneel for. Unless you got people in the back and all, everyone taking a knee, we're taking a big photo. Okay, I understand. The group photo at a wedding, the front row needs to take a knee. All right, but luckily that's usually just the short people, so I'm usually exempt. I'm in the middle row, maybe in the back. And so kneeling is an act of supplication. And I don't like the idea of supplicating yourself in protest. I think that is the wrong kind of move. You want to protest, you protest on your own time. I don't like this stuff showing up in our entertainment, and sports are entertainment. I certainly don't like the NBA doing this kind of stuff. All this woke nonsense that's going on in sports is hurting it at the end of the day, because people don't want that in their sports. They don't want politics infused in every aspect of American culture. You know, I mean, even when I was a kid growing up in high school, I was like Rage Against the Machine. It's like, why are you going to fuck up music with politics? You know, music is awesome. Why fuck it up with politics? And so I think of the same thing. It's like the sports is awesome. Why screw it up with politics?
Yeah, but it's weird though, Scott, because you're an entertainer. So and a lot of what you do is politically charged and
Absolutely.
can be divisive. So I mean, I feel like you could say the same thing yourself. I mean, because obviously you're not just speaking about like knees and protests. I mean, it seemed like you were starting off talking about that, but you're also talking about like Rage Against the Machine and like keep politics out of music, or like, you know, the classic like, you know, LeBron James just played basketball, or
Absolutely. Just play basketball.
you know, people giving actors shit for the stuff that they post on Twitter, the stuff that they tweet.
Well, I think
So it's a weird. I don't know. People are allowed to be humans too,
Oh, absolutely.
and not just be a trained corporate monkey. So yeah, if a corporation does not agree with the way that maybe somebody is protesting, then they definitely have the right to like let that person go. And the company may receive ridicule for it because of the
Absolutely.
political climate, the social
Absolutely.
climate. But I, you know, if an actor, a personality, a public personality, wants to limit their or you know keep their presence to a character, or you know what I mean, then that's fine. But if they want to speak out on what they believe in, I think that's fine too. Yes, it does kind of get in a weird gray area where they're doing it on national television, on sports games and such. But also a lot of the pageantry, the you know, the nationalist pageantry that we see at the beginning of sports games, with the jets flying over and the soldiers and the giant American flag that
Yeah.
covers the you know, that's like Mother Russia, you know, Third Reich type propaganda.
Yeah.
And also that stuff wasn't televised until after 9/11, and they really
Yeah.
started doing this big
That they did
patriotic
it.
push.
Yeah, after 9/11, a lot of that started happening more and more. You know, it was every now and then you'd get a flyover. You know, it wasn't that often until 9/11, and then it's like every game's got to have one. And I really don't like that, because that fuel that they're burning is your tax dollars, ladies
Right.
and gentlemen. And so that irritates me
Right.
in many ways.
Well, it's like, you know, keep your religion out of my politics, keep your politics and your propaganda out of my sports. You know what I mean? If you don't want to see people kneeling, then Vox could very well just not show the, you know what I'm saying? That they could not show the whole pregame hoopla, the pageantry.
True.
That they display, and that really, like I said, has really just been a thing since 9/11. They've always done the national anthem at sports games. I mean, even in high school and Parks and Rec, I remember doing that as a kid.
Yeah.
But as far as nationally televised sports go, it's never been something that was on TV prominently until after post 9/11.
True. Yeah. But I mean, I think that I wish that all the commercial breaks. It's like in that movie Big, where he asked his secretary, where Tom Hanks asked his secretary to go down and get the certain game and make sure and have the guys in the editing bay edit out of the talking and all the talking and commercials. It's like, you know, I think that that's what sports should be. It's like, once you turn it on, once the show starts, that's the start of the game.
Right.
And so all the stuff that happens before and after, I really couldn't give a shit. You know, talking to the players after, I really don't care. If I want to know that, I'll read the paper. You know, that's just me. I think the game itself should be televised. I think they're ridiculously long as it is, but I think baseball is an exception. But I mean, this isn't about sports. This is about kneeling for the national anthem, and the national anthem happens before games. And if media didn't cover the national anthem and stuff like that, this wouldn't even be an issue.
Right.
If it was just the game, you know.
No, and Similarly, they wouldn't have a lot of the outspoken athletes that they did if you didn't have the press in their face going, "What do you think about Breonna Taylor? What do you think?" Not to say that these athletes wouldn't be outspoken, because they're human beings. They have moralities. A tremendous amount of successful athletes in the NBA and the NFL are African Americans. So it's their community for the most part that's being affected by police brutality, and that's supposed to be what the protest is. And they have a stage, they have a platform, you know what I mean? Just like URI has a podcast. So when you get ESPN sticking a microphone in your face, I mean, what would you say if, ESPN stuck a microphone in your face, Scott? You would give them your 2 cents.
Absolutely.
I don't think that you would just have something to say about the game.
Absolutely. I mean, if I were a football player and some reporter came up to me and asked me a question about like Breonna Taylor or George Floyd or something like that, and I gave my honest opinion, and it caused a controversy or reflected negatively against my organization, which, like, say, if I was playing for the Patriots or something like that. Is that a football team?
Yeah, it's a football team.
It's
that's a football team that the locker room culture and the culture of the organization is very team oriented, and they're not about like showboating, being flashy, being that guy in front of the media. They're very like no nonsense organization.
Right. And if I worked for this organization and they had some sort of rules for me, it's like, if you want to continue to work here, you don't touch these kind of topics. Topic X, topic Y, you don't talk about them to the press. Just say no comment. But if I had my wherewithal, my freedom of speech retained as a, sovereign U.S. citizen, somebody asks me a question, I'll give them my opinion, and if it gets me fired, that's the cost of having my opinion.
Right. And that's pretty much what kind of boiled down to happen with Colin Kaepernick
but here's the thing. I would not choose to use the national anthem to shout out my insane rantings that you find on my YouTube channel.
Right.
All right. Because that is a time to respect the nation, respect the flag that has allowed, that apparently represents a racist society that's so racist that it has so many fucking millionaires out there, playing football, and they're not white. America's so racist that we couldn't have possibly let that happen. All right. And so that's what I disagree with in many ways. This is Colin Kaepernick is kneeling for no reason. It's like this idea of police brutality against a specific race, and it's race motivated, is insane. If there were 13% of the population that committed 50% of all violent crime, and that 13% of the population are people who wear corrective lenses, cops are going to be looking for people with corrective lenses. You understand my metaphor?
Yes, I understand your metaphor.
There's a you may want to call it racial profiling, but it's also called detective work. All right, if you're looking for somebody who robbed a bank who has blue eyes, you're not, you have to stop everybody and look for people with blue eyes.
Right. No, I mean, you do get into a weird gray area with that, and police brutality doesn't just affect the black community,
or minorities at all. Yeah.
It does seem to affect.
It can affect anybody.
Yeah, it can affect anybody.
I've had enough run-ins with a cop to know that a lot of them are dicks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what your skin color is. Right. They just like the power trip. I totally get that.
Right. And that's why I'm someone that agrees with the show of solidarity and protest against the police, because police brutality doesn't just exist against race, and it's not just a racial thing. It's a power trip thing. It's a people who aren't trained correctly thing. It's a people
absolutely
who are. It's a us versus them thing. And I'm not saying me versus police. I'm saying when they get trained, it's everybody is a potential perpetrator. Everyone that you pull over could have a gun.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are running around in a fear-based, mindset.
They're scared,
they're worried. They're scared and it's
be.
not for no good reason, because it's not like
should be. State
troopers and deputies, sheriff's deputies, and city police officers haven't been shot. It's probably happened recently. A police officer has been shot somewhere.
It happens all the time.
It happens a lot. So,
and it's a dangerous line of work,
right.
And I just don't think that the national anthem is the time or the place to express that concept. I think that you should use. I mean, you have celebrity even after the end of the national anthem.
Right.
You have celebrity before and after. And you have plenty of time up until that moment and after that moment in order to express your political opinions.
Right.
All right.
I agree with that too. I also believe that a lot of your strong stance comes from your military background, and a lot of that pageantry and then what that flag itself represent to someone who's been in the military is
right, because I know people who have bled and died for that flag.
Right, exactly.
Okay, for what that flag represents.
And
all right?
It seems, and I don't believe that, and I think that's what a big problem is because a lot of military folks have that same issue, young and old. You know what I mean? My grandfather probably feels the same way. He was in the Navy too. But the players aren't doing it in protest of soldiers and veterans and the flag per se. It's
context doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't think that matters. It's not the time nor the place to do it.
I think we're just agreeing to disagree.
Well, I mean, do you want to move on, or is do you have anything more you want to say?
I just feel like it's something that's not going to change until, and I mean, you don't see it as heavily as you used to, but as long as there aren't more changes in the justice system, because it's not just police officers too. A lot of the laws that are being enforced are bullshit laws, and a lot of the people that are imprisoned for bullshit laws. So it's not just the people on the streets too, it's the legislators. And I just think until things change to a certain degree.
Right. But you can initiate this conversation in the public sphere to talk about police brutality. You can initiate that conversation to talk about police brutality or even oversight of police. You can have this conversation in many other ways. It's just not during the national anthem.
Yeah.
You know, because that's disrespectful to our nation and the people who serve this nation. After all, this nation is so great that it has allowed you that opportunity. The freedom of speech, we talked about this last week. The freedom of speech is unique, in the world to the United States. Most every other country in the world allows you to kneel during the national anthem, and you should receive ridicule, I believe. But it allows you. It's not like anyone took Colin Kaepernick out back and had him shot. All right? Because that's what a truly racist nation would do. That's what a truly oppressive nation would do. Okay?
Right. No, and there is truth to that, but a lot of the I had this worded perfectly in my head until you spoke with your rhetoric, Scott.
I wish we should get something that has these life bars go down, because I clearly won this fight.
Oh, whatever, man. I'm stumbling a little bit. I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, you can't tell these people how they feel, and not all of them have the celebrity that a lot of athletes have. You know what I mean? For every Colin Kaepernick, there's 100 nobodies.
Sure. Absolutely. But the national anthem is not the time nor place to flex that particular celebrity muscle.
I think that a lot of the people in that community who are kneeling in protest and kneeling against the flag and police brutality feel like it's a nation that doesn't have their best interests in mind and feels like it is a racist nation.
Okay, then
and yes, you have
Canada.
Pointed out examples saying that a truly racist nation wouldn't have these $1 million athletes and actors and musicians, and a truly racist nation would, execute you for X, Y, or Z. But you can't tell these people how they feel.
Fine.
And
I'm not trying to tell them how to feel. I'm telling them what not to do.
And I agree that a lot of veterans, a lot of black veterans, would agree that it's not a racist nation, that it's not a nation that doesn't care about you, but it's just hard to tell those. You can't tell people how they feel. I mean,
not telling you what to feel, telling you what to do.
You're telling people how to express it. You're trying to set the parameters in which to express how you feel.
How to do it, exactly. You don't use that kind of situation to push a political agenda. You push it like I do. You start your stupid YouTube channel.
then I think what they should do is vice versa. You don't use the time before the football game to shove patriotism down, football players' throats. And it's another weird thing too, because of the football is a sport that's born out of warfare, and
Yep.
you know what I mean? A lot of football terms like blitz, it's born out of warfare, you know what I mean? It's military guys were coaching these teams.
It's unit tactics. It's platoon maneuvers.
So there is a little bit of that, you know what I mean? And then you have people like Pat Tillman, who played in the NFL, and Charlie Villanueva, who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, who are veterans or died in combat, and all sorts of people who have been in, Roger Staubach was in the Navy, right? So there is a weird cross between like the military and football, but times have changed, and it doesn't need to. I don't think the patriotism needs to be forced down people's throats. And
I think what I hear you saying is that there shouldn't be a national anthem before games anymore.
It's not that there shouldn't be a national anthem. It's that if do it for the fans. You don't give those players that extra time to be in the back. If you want them to be better at football and shut up and play basketball, then give LeBron James the extra couple minutes in the back to fucking study game film or, meditate or shoot the basketball. Give them those extra couple minutes of pageantry that you're taking their time away, that they're kneeling, so they're not even respecting the thing that you're trying to shove down their throats. Give them their time back. Let them be a better athlete if that's what you want from them. If you want them to be purely athletes, then
sure, I'm all for that when it comes to television. All right, but when it comes to the game, the live game, I want the national anthem. I want the players on the field with their hands on their hearts.
It's just weird. No other entertainment is like that. Fucking Family Guy doesn't start off like that. Days of Our Lives doesn't start off like that. CNN doesn't. Fox News doesn't do that at 9:00 every morning when whoever comes on.
But you're talking about
no other
television.
Entertainment does that. Only sports does that.
You're talking about television.
I mean,
at the actual game, I would want the national anthem.
Okay. Do the players need to be on the field, or is it just something we do as fans?
I want the players on the field. I want people saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I want people saying that they love this country.
It's just a weird indoctrination that's only in that realm. Why is it in sports and
I think you have this idea that
BoJack Horseman doesn't start off with the national anthem. Why should football?
Well, I think that I think you think that nationalism is a bad thing, and I disagree.
I think that anything in excess can be a bad thing. Anything, including my marijuana consumption. I mean, anything in excess. Facebook can be a tremendous tool to promote this podcast and tell people to subscribe to my YouTube channel and go follow me on Twitter and blah, blah, fucking blah, and come to my show on Thursday night. But it can also be a bells and whistle dopamine casino hole that you just get stuck endlessly scrolling and liking in and scrolling back to the top because you're a trained narcissist staring at your reflection that's just checking your notifications. Anything can be used, if you run around with a hammer, everything's going to start looking like a nail. So if you run around with a patriotism, everything's going to start looking like an enemy. Any outside source is bad. It becomes the same as get back to the police brutality, the us versus them. And I mean, a lot of this groupthink, tribal think is football and sports that I love breed that. I mean, it breeds us versus them mentality. Cowboys versus Indians. Left versus right. America versus China. Not to say that China's not bad. I mean, I just that's a different topic for a different day.
Wow, there's so much there. I don't really know where to begin to unpack that. And I mean, we really need to get on to the next topic. Because wow,
I win.
No,
yes.
no, not at all.
This is how we're gonna make America great again, Scott, by not televising the national anthem at sports games, or we're gonna shove the national anthem at the beginning of every fucking Netflix stream, every episode of Days of Our Life. I want to see Anderson Cooper bent over, spread eagle, saying the.
You know what? I want to get this thing here. I want to put an American flag right before the parental advisory.
That's fine.
Just to rub it in your face.
And I want to put a psychedelic flag.
That intro is going to get long as hell. We're going to have a 10-minute conversation. Keep adding stuff to it every week.
No, this is good. We disagree.
Absolutely. But it's clear that I won. And if you're viewing this, go down in the comments. Who won this argument?
We disagree, but I agree with your right to have your opinion.
Absolutely.
And not just that, but I also understand your perspective and see where you're coming from.
Well,
and I hope that you
point.
can understand some of what I'm coming from. And maybe I'm just an indoctrinated hippie who counterculture is hypnotized into being progressive and fucking hip hop culture made me want to kneel for the flag. But
see, how can you claim you win?
I believe in everything that I said.
How come you just claim you won and then killed yourself? You assassinated
I'm
your own
playing
argument.
devil's advocate with myself because I'm honest.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. It's like that's important for people to have, is that devil's advocate within yourself that can have these kind of arguments with yourself in order to form your own opinion. And it's also a good idea to discuss these opinions with people who have different ideas than you on all points. And that is steel sharpening steel, as it says in the Bible. You know, so shall one man's soul sharpen another's. You know, because it makes you a better person for getting to look at different things through another person's perspective.
100%.
That is what is valuable about interacting with other humans. Probably the only thing valuable about interacting with other humans is that you can grow as a person. You know, and learn to be more tolerant of other people's opinions.
Right.
You were talking about pot, and there's something I was thinking the other day. It's like you know, the older I get, and the more my medication works for me, the less I get Pink Floyd. You know, when I was a teenager and I was always depressed all the time, I was Pink Floyd like all the time. I was like, I could totally get Floyd, man, totally get it. Now, you know, I'm on some happy pills. I'm doing pretty well for myself. Now it's just like, set the controls for the Heart of the Sun. I don't get it. Why?
What's not to get about Floyd, man?
I mean, I get it. Obviously, I've gotten it once, so I understand. But the less I enjoy it now, you know.
It's weird though, because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll grow out of Floyd and Tool and all those bands that I like for those, you know, kind of far out reasons. But I don't know, man. Floyd is mystical music. Why don't you like it anymore? It's just the sound, the waviness.
Yeah, it's a little.
It's too abstract.
Kind of sad. It's all sad, you know, in many ways. Pink Floyd, you know, it's like
it's poetic. It's beautiful.
It is. It's
not the typical poppy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they're progressive rock, and I can appreciate that. I mean, I love their experimentation with tape effects, and you know, they record stuff. They would leave a mic on in a room, and they'd put it underlying a track or something like that. It's like, oh, you know, or even like watching Wizard of Oz with the Dark Side of the Moon. You've done that, right?
Of course.
You like drugs and stuff.
I don't even know what drugs are.
Okay, but I think that's cool because it's really a simple scientific trick when you talk about like rhythm and frame rates. You know, it's the same type of thing. It's like over time. You know, music is, you know, sound over time. You know, and if the tempo is like at a certain frame rate or equal to a frame rate or multiples thereof, then it could equal the frame rate. And that way, every time the theme changes, it's like, oh, it's so trippy. You know, and so what you could do is you could put on Dark Side of the Moon and watch pretty much any movie and have a similar effect.
Yes.
Yeah. So I particularly like The Matrix with Dark Side of the Moon. I think that's pretty awesome. So, yeah. So, but I mean, I guess I just kind of outgrew Floyd in many ways.
I mean, I feel like that happens with a lot of people in music. There's definitely bands that I've outgrown, or because when you like them and you really love a band or music or song, for me, I will over listen to it. I'll listen to it obsessively.
Yeah. And
then it gets to a point where I don't listen to it anymore. And maybe I don't listen to that artist, you know, that song for a while. And then when I go back and hear it, though, it's
I have
It's still special.
I have pretty much every single Dave Matthews album, and it's been years since I've listened to it. You know, it was just that the '90s were such crappy music that Dave Matthews Band came out, and you're just like, oh look, actual musicians.
Why did you crash into me with Dave Matthews Band?
I've been thinking ever since that song came out. I've been trying to figure out what it means, what that song means, and I'm pretty sure it's a girl who intentionally hit his car with her car in order to meet him.
Right.
I've actually heard of women doing that.
Two people having like a shared trauma, like a single guy and a single girl who got in a car accident, and it's kind of a shared trauma they have.
Maybe.
Because that's a healthy way to start a relationship for all you lovers out there.
Yeah,
if you have shared trauma.
Yeah, you clearly haven't seen Speed. Because Speed 2 with Sandra Bullock in that? No.
Yeah, and you've clearly never done Speed and mushrooms.
It's like, ooh, together? Ooh, horrible. That sounds horrible.
Quick side note before we get back into music. Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters, the ones that traveled around the country doing psychedelics in the bus, right?
Who?
Ken Kesey.
I have no idea.
He wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, okay.
And the Merry Pranksters. They're kind of the bridge between the Beat generation and the Love generation.
Okay.
They travel around the country in like a school bus, right? Psychedelic colored school bus. Yeah. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Magic Bus. Yeah.
Right. So they used to like to combine LSD and speed. That was their thing. And I don't know how you would fucking do that because no, thank you. So back to music and drugs and bands.
Speaking of drugs, what irritates me about Eric Clapton is that just this little Eric Clapton thing that's been sitting in the back of my head as we change gears. What bugs me about Eric Clapton is that there are so many songs that Eric Clapton has done that are way better than cocaine. All right? And I don't mean the drug, I mean the song cocaine. All right? But if you hear Eric Clapton's song on the radio in the next 48 to 72 hours, I guarantee you it's probably going to be cocaine. And it's like Eric Clapton's worst song, and just because it's about cocaine, people love it.
Yeah, and they'll play it on your local classic rock station unedited. And if you switch over to your local hip hop station, they'll edit out every time a rapper uses a lingo term for cocaine. So, but that's all right. Eric Clapton gets a pass, but Jay-Z, not so much. I mean, explain that. That's always that's bothered me for a while now.
Well, the whole idea is censorship, if you ask me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yep.
And we talked about that last week, and so
that's why we're building a radio station here at fxbgpublicradio.com. So if you go over there to hit listen after this podcast,
yeah, then
you can listen to that radio station. What were you saying about censorship, Scott?
I just don't like censorship, you know.
Yeah. That is one thing we can fucking agree on. Is
what was it I heard recently that they censored? Money for Nothing. You've heard that song, right?
Oh yeah.
That little.
Yeah.
He's got his own jet airplane. He's got
they finally edited that, huh?
Yeah.
On 96.9?
Yeah.
It used to not be edited.
I don't think it should be at all.
The LGBTQ culture got to him.
Because, I mean, it was the early 80s. You know, it was the late 70s, early 80s. You know, that's what you call a guy like that.
Grandfathered in. Look, wait until they find out about Johnny Cash dating like 14-year-olds and shit like that.
Well, I mean, it was all... I mean, they had a movie about Jerry Lee Lewis with Winona Ryder and Dennis Quaid. Or was it Randy Quaid? It was Dennis Quaid, the good-looking one. He was playing Jerry Lee Lewis, and it was a plot point that she was his cousin and underage. You know, it was a plot point in the movie.
Yeah.
And everyone knew it, and they let it go on. You know, so I don't know what everyone's...
Speaking of music, cancel culture, and pedophiles, I mean...
They were way more tolerant.
David Bowie and why can't I think? Jimmy Page. Both dated the same girl.
Yeah.
The same 15-year-old girl that was, tramping around at the clubs.
Almost famous.
Yeah.
Movie about real people.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's the thing is it's like Jim Jeffries talked about on that on his last special about them moving the line. You know what I mean? He's like,
oh yeah.
because a comedian's job is to push the line. And it's like, well, when I made that joke, the line was here, my joke was here. Well, now the line's back here. Well, you can't cancel me for something I said back then when the line was in a different place. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing about a lot of those people. And I'm in no way standing up for, but a lot of people that you idolized from back in the day dated like 14 and 15-year-old girls. My grandma's sister was married when she was like 14.
I heard that like Freddie Mercury was gay.
Freddie Mercury was gay.
That's what I heard.
No way.
What
about, dude, next year and tell me Elton John's gay.
That's what I heard. All right, it's just what I heard. And so what's funny
what
is
about
that
Ricky Martin?
Ricky Martin, probably.
Oh my God, not Ricky Martin.
It's a shame, isn't it? That I'm not gay. The
as if Ricky Martin would ever hit on you.
But I mean, that's a fair point. I think I could pull Freddie Mercury though, and so maybe
here it comes.
Oh, you're bad, darling. I love bad.
There it goes.
But I'm going to talk about Queen a bit.
Of course, that's your band.
Yeah, and so I want to talk because they're my favorite band. I think they're incredibly talented, and the band was called Queen. It was like, and he had all these songs, good old fashioned Lover Boy and stuff like that, and people couldn't figure out that Freddie Mercury was probably playing for the other team, as it were, and so back then it was quite ambiguous. There's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to like rock stars, especially in like the 70s and 80s. There's a lot of ambiguity from Freddie Mercury to Boy George. You know what I mean? And
David Bowie.
Yeah, and David Bowie, absolutely. And there's a ton of people in between.
Prince.
Prince, absolutely. And it's just like that that Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories where he talked about the back in the it's back in the 80s when the guy looked most like a bitch is getting all the women.
Yep. Yeah.
And so yeah. And so there was always a lot of ambiguity, but people didn't ever really think that, Prince was gay or anything like that, And so and on the opposite side of that coin is that everyone assumed Freddie Mercury was straight for a long time. I think it wasn't until the late 80s, early 90s, or like, late 80s, early 90s where all the rumors about him being gay really started coming out, But I mean, I have an uncle who lived during the time, and his first Queen album that he bought was Sheer Heart Attack, their third album. And he was just so shocked at the kind of sounds they were getting out of their instruments and the way that they were making music. It was so different from what he had heard up until that point. And I agree. And it's like a Sheer Heart Attack. Number one, it's an extremely good Queen album. And plus Brian's guitar is unique in itself, that it's handmade, And I take a lot of, I give a lot of respect for something like that. If you make your own musical instrument and play it like that, absolutely. You're a badass, sir. Sir Brian May.
That is pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he's an astrophysicist, He has a doctorate
in
astrophysics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all these guys met in college. Like Roger Taylor, I think he was studying to be a dentist. I think John Deacon was studying business. Or that's what he got into. I don't know. But Freddie was a choir and music kind of guy. Drama kind of genius. He was, And I think when it comes to modern music, I don't think you cannot talk about Freddie, in the sense that it affected so many different artists over the years, Freddie and Queen.
Yeah. And
even Kurt Cobain in his suicide note, quote unquote, mentioned Freddie Mercury in the sense that, in respect that, Kurt didn't, quote unquote, Kurt didn't understand why he can't love it the way that Freddie loved it. It's like, hey, sometimes it's not in your personality. I get that. I don't think I could strut around on stage the way that Freddie did and feel and look that confident, even when you're that ugly, because let's be honest, he's not a good looking dude. I remember when I started getting into listening to Queen, I talked to these other fans. I ran into a couple females who like Queen, and I asked them, it's like, who's the best looking member of the band? They're like, John Deacon or like Roger Taylor is the drummer or the bassist. And I was like, okay. But what about Freddie? He's like, no, he's the ugliest. Straight up. He's the ugliest. And it's like, find love wherever you can get it, huh? So, by all means. And so, So I think we can't talk about Queen. And I think we were talking earlier about the Beatles, right? Where I mentioned something I heard about Gavin McInnes say, where it's like you can hate on the Beatles, which I think their Beatles are very overrated, completely overrated. You can hate on them all you want, but without that, you wouldn't have had bands like Queen or Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones and so forth coming to America. Because I mean, that's what's interesting about the British invasion. The British invasion was the way America glommed onto English culture, you know, in many ways. Because Britain was putting out all these fantastic artists, you know, for like a couple decades, and you know, Americans just ate it up. So they're getting all this money from Americans, and that's why you get, you know, these bands would come and they tour the United States, you know, so often that, you know, it becomes you get a parody movie called This Is Spinal Tap.
We should hang out and watch that later. You want to hang out and watch that later?
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah. Maybe
after your podcast tomorrow.
Okay, maybe. We'll see.
Your podcast yesterday.
Yes. Because we're going to release this on Wednesday, right?
Right.
All right.
And today is Monday.
Today is Monday. All right. We
Pink Floyd though, and Queen, they're just weird. I love a lot of classic rock, so I do enjoy Queen too. They're not like one of my go-to bands, but there's quite a many Queen song that I enjoy. As far as Pink Floyd goes, and like Tool, and a lot of the music that I listen to heavily, a lot of it I listen to because it reminds me of a person or an experience. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And obviously with me listening those two bands, I connect with like my psychedelic experiences. And there's certain songs with Pink Floyd that is just it just opens up a whole new world when you're on psychedelics. And I listen to a lot of music on psychedelics, and there's just something about Pink Floyd and Tool specifically that those two bands, like, they have an understanding of like time signatures and the vibratory nature of the universe. And we can use this to get into religion too, by the way, because Tool is very much a part of my religion, and that's what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
But they understand that, like, that vibratory nature of the universe and how to tap into it with their instruments and warp your consciousness or something, man. They're just really fucking far out bands. I'm sure there's other bands that know that have similar vibes that I'm just not as hip to, but Tool and Pink Floyd specifically, and you know, there's select songs that I could pick out and tell you, but
yeah.
I mean, just that Dark Side of the Moon album, that whole album has that. It's like the cliche album for people to go to listen to while tripping. You know what I mean?
It's the gateway drug to psychedelic music.
Right. But there's a reason for that. That, like, when you listen to it on, like, if you listen to it sober and listen to it on LSD or mushrooms, like, you will understand why it's a go-to. You know, when you're in that consciousness state.
You ever look at $100 bill, man?
Yeah, man.
On weed.
You ever watched the Scott versus Scott podcast, man?
On weed.
Have you ever watched it on weed, dude? Scott's over there like, whoa, and Scott's over there like, wow.
And you never once paid for drugs.
Not once.
Not once.
Not one time. Who does Queen remind you of? What does Queen remind you of? I feel like a lot of music that people to listen to and love, there's a connection. It's a memory. It's a, you know, just like.
Well, I mean, I studied music. I play musical instruments. You know.
True. So is that where a lot of your music for Queen comes from? Is because
I understand music and I understand how difficult the music they made is.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the sheet music of like a, you know, God bless Leonard Skinner and everything, but like a Leonard Skinner song as opposed to a Queen song. You know, a Queen song is in some strange fucking key, and that key changes like 3 times during the song. The time signature changes 3 times during the song. You know, you have sextuplet runs and so forth, and you're just like, you're so impressed with these musicians and their musical ability when it comes to Queen that it's hard to look at like a band like Leonard Skinner, who, you know, God bless him, is just a good old Southern fun rock band. You know,
with like 12 instruments.
Yeah, and so, but these aren't people who like truly studied the craft like the way Queen did, you know, and so it had amazing talent, you know, like all of them played multiple instruments. Like Freddie played multiple instruments.
Right.
You know, Brian played multiple instruments.
So do you feel the same way about Rush? Rush kind of has that similar vibe that I would, as far as classic rock bands, another one that I would put in that same kind of category, right? As far as like the creativity of the music and the
I would put Rush in between like Skynyrd and Queen.
Okay.
You know, because I think that they had a more advanced knowledge of the of music, obviously, and they weren't. They applied some of that to it, but I mean, I think it's more like they mastered their instruments more so than learned many instruments.
Are you just hating on Skynyrd because I was listening to Second Helping before we started this podcast? Is that what this is about?
I have Skynyrd on the mind because we're listening to Skynyrd before this, and I enjoy Skynyrd as well.
Second Helping is the name of the album.
I'm not made of pig iron, you know.
All right. What are some of your other favorite bands? I listen to a lot of hip hop music too.
I like Dave Matthews Band.
Dave Matthews.
I know that's.
I mean, there's a couple songs of theirs like that Crash Into Me, and what's his other song that's really popular?
See, that's the point. Is like a lot of what I like about them are not their popular songs. I like B-sides. I've always loved B-sides, and so
You like Hootie and the Blowfish too, Scott?
I feel ashamed to admit it, but yes. You know, I also like Counting Crows. You got to understand, there was a lot of shitty music in the '90s, and so when
you like Blues Traveler too?
Yes.
Those are all like non-go-to bands. See, but you hate like Nirvana, so you probably don't like. Yeah. You're probably not a big fan of like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden in the '90s.
Yeah, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden are actually like pretty good. You know, they're not exactly my favorites. I mean, I was infuriated during the '90s because there's so much crap coming out, all that Pearl Jam and.
You don't like Pearl Jam and Nirvana.
Nirvana, you know, it's kind of
Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, good. Nirvana. Pearl Jam bad.
Well, I think that Alice in Chains and Soundgarden were more rock oriented, you know, than grunge oriented. Okay. You know, when you listen to a Nirvana song, it sounds like something you would eat a heroin on. You know, and it's like you listen to Alice in Chains, it's a rocking song. It reminds me of like Motley Crue, you know, that kind of stuff, and it kind of evolved. And that's what I mean. And evolved. You don't see. You're going to get me to throw hands. Start talking shit about Motley Crue. I love Motley Crue.
You like Motley Crue and Queen. What other bands do you like, Scott?
Do
you like to hang out around gymnasiums?
I like.
Have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Like gladiator movies.
You ever been to Turkish prison before?
So yeah, I'm recycling jokes. Okay, whatever. And so
that's original joke that I wrote.
See, it's different because like in the 80s it was like a bunch of one-hit wonders, so it's hard to say that, you know, you can like a band. Like nobody says is like, I'm a huge Thompson Twins fan, I go to every concert, I follow them all over the country. No, you don't. Nobody does that for the Thompson Twins, you know. Huey Lewis and the News, underrated band.
Right.
Underrated band. They are incredibly talented and incredibly entertaining.
I'm just not a big like 80s music fan. Like 80s rock bands like Motley Crue and Poison even Guns N' Roses, even though I wouldn't put them in that same category. But I'm just not big fans of those. No, I'm not. I would rather listen to like, I know this is weird coming from me, but I would rather listen to like Depeche Mode or like Tears for Fears. Even the Smiths, In Excess. I fucking love In Excess. The Kick album is a badass. Listen to In Excess Kick. But I would rather listen to like, I don't like I like the poppier stuff when it comes to the 80s.
Absolutely.
I don't like I'm not a big fan of like the 80s hair rock, hair metal. That's not my vibe at all. I like psychedelic classic rock and like.
Well, here's something I was thinking of on the way over here is that, you remember that scene in Almost Famous where he goes and talks to that guy from Cream Magazine, which is played by Stuart, what's his name?
I've only seen the movie
Philip Seymour
once.
Hoffman. He's sitting there and he's talking to him about, it's like, see, you're coming along in a very dangerous time of rock and roll. You know, the industry is going to get a hold of it. They're going to get a hold of it, and they're going to just like start trying to figure out the formula. And then the next thing you know, it just becomes an industry of cool. I don't know if you remember him saying that. And like it's something he wrote down, industry of cool. And what, I don't want to say it's Abby Hoffman. It's not Abby Hoffman. He was the editor of Cream Magazine. I can't remember his name. But he says to him is like, what he's describing is he's describing the MTV generation. You know, it's the whole the video killed the radio star mentality. Do you think Queen would have been as big as it was in the age in 2020 with Freddie's teeth all sticking out and stuff like that?
Right.
You know, it's a very different world now for a musician. And so that's why pop has gone like crap. It's like the pop in the 80s was like the peak, you know, and then pop just went right off the map.
Right.
It's like even pop these days is generic. It's boy bandy.
Pop in the 90s is when the boy band, the Britney Spears kind of
exactly.
era started.
The single female artists, you know, you know, sisters with voices, whatever. You know?
And after a certain point in the 90s, like really after a certain point in the early 2000s, like there's not a lot of rock that comes out nowadays. Like Highly Suspect and the Black Keys are like the only two current rock bands that I will listen to. And then, you know, when you go back an era, like I like System of a Down, and there's some rock songs like that I can listen to, like Disturbed and Godsmack, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But that's not really my vibe either.
But I mean,
although I did listen to a lot of Korn growing up and still do sometimes.
See, I guess that's what's lucky about me is that, you know, I grew up in an era where, you know, in the 80s where you can pick and choose which tracks you want. I mean, that's when the 80s is when I bought singles a lot, you know, cassette singles a lot. And I think in this modern era is like, because you can buy individual tracks and so forth and not necessarily an album, you know, or you can, you know, you can buy the tracks you want. And so I think that is the advantage. It's like not every artist can be making high quality music all the time. It's like even Queen has some shitty songs, you know? And so, you can pick and choose what you want, and that is the way to take it, because I think genius is temporary. You know, it kind of fleets. You know, everyone. If you grab a hold of genius for a second, you can hold on to it for a little while, and then eventually you lose your grip. I think that's true about genius.
See I think that's one of the reasons why I like Floyd so much, man, and Tool too. But
sure.
let me go with Floyd first, because a lot of music in that generation, it was records. It came out on a record, and then after that, it was the 8-track, and it was the cassette. So most music was played to be listened to in that way.
Album. Yeah, as an album.
The album was curated as like a playlist.
Like The Who, Tommy.
And with the birth, and then, you know, you get the CDs, and that's when people can really start skipping around easier.
Skipping tracks, yeah.
Right, and it's the kind of the dawn of the singles and ringtone era of music. And then you get the iPod comes out and iTunes and the, you know, 99-cent tracks.
Absolutely.
And a lot of music and a lot of albums aren't made like that anymore. They're choppy. They're very choppy. Yeah. But if you go back and listen to Dark Side of the Moon, Animals, Wish You Were Here, The Wall, you know, insert Pink Floyd album title here. It has a continuous sound.
Absolutely.
There's a continuous tone throughout the whole thing. Yeah,
even in the 90s when I had these CD players, I would have like The Wall on CD, and I'd be sitting there listening to it and say, even though the track goes to another song, it stops, and it's irritating. You get a little brief second of silence as it go from one track to another, but you can hear that the music keeps going. And that's how it was meant to be on the album, is that the song just blends into another.
Right.
And I think that's awesome.
Well, that's why Tool took them so long to, you know, they just put their music on Spotify, I think last year, on all those platforms.
Wow.
Because they didn't want it chopped up. The music is meant to be listened to as an album, not as singles. It's meant to be listened to continuous.
And that's kind of like, in many ways, how, you know, the medium has changed. You know, it's all become bite-sized and small. It's become that industry of cool.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely. So we're at about an hour right now. Did you want to skip the last thing, or you want to talk briefly about our backgrounds in religion? Because we kind of just jumped in last week right into a story about Jacob.
Man, I feel like religion is going to be one of the longer topics, Scott.
Absolutely.
I got a lot to say about it. You want to hold off, bud?
You want to hold off to next time?
Yeah, I feel like this was a really good episode. Super stimulating. I felt supernatural.
So we only got 2 in like that. So
I felt supernatural. I was about to turn into a ghost because you killed me on that first debate, dog.
Absolutely. And if you disagree, you can go down in the comments, discuss it. Tell us who do you think won each argument about. I don't think we really argued about music. I do think Tool sucks, but that being said, you know, it's. Finish him.
Fuck Freddie Mercury.
He might be his type.
I'm pretty
Anyway. So get down in the comments, you know, let us know who won, Scott versus Scott, volume 2. And we'll be back next week to give you another one. In the meantime, I have a YouTube channel of my own. Just search for Shock Monkey Radio. You can also go over to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. I would appreciate it. Help us improve this show as well, because as long as I'm a part of it, I'm going to reinvest into this.
Yes. And I have a YouTube as well. My Patreon is not set up. And if you look in the descriptions down here, you'll see all the ways to find Scott and I. So just follow those links and follow us and hit the little subscribe button. Maybe it's here or maybe it's there. I don't know.
It's there-ish.
It's somewhere in this region. So hit the subscribe button and maybe a little bell too on my page or Shock Monkey. That way you get notifications whenever we go live, whenever we upload a video. That way you can stay in tune with Scott v. Scott, Shock Monkey Radio, and This Is Not A Scottcast. Plus much more content. I mean, we're not limited to these hour-long. You know what I mean? We're gonna put out clips for this too.
This is just one more thing we're doing.
Scott has tons of clips and skits and whatnot on his YouTube page. I have stand-up comedy and skits and roast battles and all that jazz on my YouTube page. So subscribe to both of ours. And if you like it, share, tell your friends, and comment. Let us know some things you would like to see us discuss or debate.
Let us know what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
All righty. See you next time.
Bye. Enjoy the trip. That was good. That was really good.
Bellissimo.